Increasing geopolitical risks are continuing to create uncertainty in the global economy. That's according to KPMG's latest quarterly economic outlook.
The US-China trade war and Brexit chaos, top of global concerns, but unrest in Europe, instability in Venezuela and riots in Hong Kong, all playing their part in economic uncertainty. Joining us now is Brendan Ryan, KPMG's chief economist. Brendan, thank you so much for your time. Yesterday we saw a report from Deloitte Access Economics that pointed to some domestic issues as well. So how have you weighed domestic and international affairs up and their effect on the economy?
Look, I mean, I think the domestic issues clearly far outweigh the global issues from a functioning of the economy perspective, recognising that our net exports contribute about 5% towards GDP growth, and domestic factors like consumption and investment together represent something like 80% towards GDP. So from an overall domestic growth perspective, those two are much more important. But what you're seeing at a global level is that that's influencing investor behaviour, it's influencing confidence, it's influencing how policy rates are being adjusted by central banks around the world. So there is an absolute interplay between what's happening globally and how that will filter through to our economic prosperity at the moment.
And it also, Brendan, seems to be getting worse overseas. I mean, we've just had the breaking news in the last hour or so that the US is slapping on more sanctions in Turkey when it comes to steel. This is on top of, as we all know, the issues with Brexit. You've got Germany that's fallen into recession. Things are slowing down in the US. You've got the China problems as well. So it's not just one or two issues that is taking place overseas at the moment. There's several more than that.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And you're seeing, what you mentioned about US putting tariffs on Turkey, that the governments are now using domestic economic policy as part of their foreign policy, which is relatively new. We haven't actually seen too much of that lately. But in response to Turkey's invasion of northern Syria, you're seeing President Trump apply those economic sanctions really to Turkey to try to change their behaviour. But ultimately there is this increase in geopolitical uncertainty. I mentioned before, or I've said before, like the geopolitical ring of fire seems to be hotter at the moment than it's been for quite some time.
Brendan, just to play devil's advocate here, there's always global issues, right? These are particularly significant at the moment, but Australia has always been pretty well inoculated from them. Is that still the case?
Look, we're a small open economy and therefore subject to really a lot of global pressures and headwinds and tailwinds and, all of those general activities. At the moment, we're actually seeing that our relationship with the rest of the world through our exports is in fact keeping up growth within Australia. We saw during the June quarter the first time that we had a current account surplus in 44 years. So in fact, while there is this uncertainty and increased activity with regards to disputes and trade wars and political instability within general countries, Australia's still been able to wear that quite well.